I watch episode 27 of Pokemon every year because I watch every episode of Pokemon every year. In episode 27, Hypno's Naptime, Pokemon are drugs. Ash and friends arrive in Hophophop Town, another destination exclusive to the anime, ensuring the inessentiality of this episode. As they walk the city streets, Ash is rushed by an older woman and is again the recipient of the unwanted touch of an adult. The woman claims to be the mother of a lost child, the oldest trick in the book. Several children have gone missing in this metropolis. They dismiss her loss and comfort her with lies. In the world of Pokemon, children are allowed to travel freely, and their peril is met with even less urgency than in our own. Ash remembers that he has a mom and vows to solve the mystery. The officer allows those most at risk to be the next victims to do her job for her. At the Pokemon Center, the bootlicker does his best impression of law enforcement, interrogating toddlers. That's actually a pretty accurate impression. Ash and Misty do some actual investigating, but nurse practitioner Joy is wrapped up in her own mystery and invites them to gawk at her poorest patients, including a Charmander in worse shape than his own and a Magikarp that isn't thriving outside of the water. Suffering the most among them is Psyduck, which is short for psychiatrically unmedicated duck. With Pikachu also down for the count, the cop uses her standard issue sleep wave detector to connect the two mysteries. Elsewhere, the hoodlums use a similar device to achieve their ever-changing goals. They hope to use the sleep waves to incapacitate their employer so that they too can rest. The plot device leads them to the roof of a nondescript skyscraper, where they find an entire estate. The preteens execute a no-knock warrant and discover that the mansion is home to the Pokemon Lovers Club, who openly admit to their criminal activity, but not the crimes that their name would suggest. The Pokemon that they love are Drowsy and Hypno, two more tan-colored psychic Pokemon that also have Eastern European accents for some reason. To relieve the stress of influencing the economy, the affluent use Hypno, which is short for high-potency narcotic, to get a good night's sleep in the middle of the day. On that lean, the Pokemon Lovers Club puts the high in high society. They put the perk in 1%. They feign shock that their consolidation of power has negatively affected those who live so far beneath them, that their solace comes from siphoning the sanity of the smallest people. Eager to experiment with hallucinogens, Misty gets sealed in and leads them to the hot spot, where all the missing children are zonked and zooted, popped up in Hophophop Town. The officer reprimands the children struggling under the influence, and they return to the mansion with Misty, leaving the rest of them alone in the park in their altered states. Cooperating with the authorities, Drowsy, the Narcan Pokemon, kills Misty's trip. Ash carries the 75-pound Pokemon atop his head with ease, journeying back to the park to resuscitate the rest of the kids, who they could have just brought to the big house as well. They are interrupted by the consistent antagonists who paraglide in from the ether for their contractual appearance. They peer pressure Hypno into hypnotizing itself, and Ash opts to destroy plant life to prevent Hypno from getting high on its own supply. Hugs, not drugs. The overworked workers attempt other means to get what they want, which Hypno and Drowsy are pretty chill about. They already live the life of crime. Pidgeotto makes its first appearance in 8 episodes, expelling the evildoers with a single move. Back at the park, Drowsy takes the miners out of their trickle-down drug trips. As they regain consciousness, the children all proclaim what they want to be when they grow up. They all have working-class aspirations, and none of them want to be cops, or whatever this guy does. With their entire futures ahead of them, they scatter from the scene, and the mother character, who was apparently following them this entire time, is reunited with her child, who looks nothing like Ash. She found her target. Pikachu is also revived now, even though that could have happened at the same time that Misty did also. Pikachu spent the entire second half of this episode episode sealed inside Ash's backpack for no reason. Drowsy Ex Machina heals the rest of the Pokemon as well, except for Psyduck, who was misdiagnosed by an overworked healthcare professional. Brock negs the nurse on her third consecutive shift, and she passes the burden of Psyduck to them. They are each unwilling to claim the neurodivergent waterfowl as their own. In earshot, they argue who is more suited to be its master. Misty, who specializes in water types, or Ash, who specializes in head trauma. Who's that Pokemon? Whose Pokemon is that? The wicked don't get rest, but they do get the rest of everything. And there's not much rest for the rest of us either. It's unclear if Drowsy was returned to the trap house, or if the police pressed charges at all. Misty only became under the influence after direct contact with Hypno. It's unclear if the same is true for the rest of the victims. Their stories are never continued. Their desired destinies are only dreams. Their futures forever furloughed. Drugs, not even once. Maybe just a microdose. As they leave the city, the burden of Psyduck's care looms over them. On Psyduck itself, most of all. Between Brock, who only agreed to give it a home in a lie to impress others, Ash, who takes credit for the accomplishments of those around him, or Misty, who just started her sobriety journey. In its first big brain move, Psyduck captures itself, displaying its unique ability to make its own decisions. Upsetting Misty enough to break the fourth wall. With the psychic sidekick along for their subsequent adventures, there's finally a character that audiences can identify with when watching this show. In the first ever interior shot of a Pokeball, Psyduck still holds its head in pain, now owned by another, but free of Hophophop Town. Psyduck's story alone is to be continued.